One of the big major topics of conversation around the entire movie world the last few weeks has been the potential sale of Warner Brothers. And a lot of things have been developing. We found out that Paramount made not one, not two, but three offers to buy the company in three different occasions, and they were rejected every single time. We found out the other day from David Zaslav that both Netflix and Comcast have thrown their names, have contacted Warner Brothers with interest of buying it. And now we're finding out a couple more things, including this. A report out of Bloomberg is saying that on top of Netflix, Paramount, and Comcast, David Zaslav has revealed in an investor's call that also Apple and Amazon have also reached out to them expressing interest in it. Now, he never broke down which ones are looking at buying the whole company like Paramount is, which ones are wanting Warner Brothers to split into two companies with the television networks on one side and the studio, and they just want to buy the studio. I'm assuming that's Amazon and Apple. But it's now official. Other than Disney, just about every major player is in this now. NBC, Universal, Comcast, Paramount, Apple, Amazon, Netflix are all here in the running. Now, by the way, I had a bunch of people write to me and say, John, Ted Sarandos said he's not interested in it. No, he did not. What Ted Sarandos specifically said was that they have no interest in legacy networks, which I don't think Apple or Amazon is going to be interested in either. They're only going to be interested in buying if they split the company out and they can buy that. And they have contacted Warner Brothers to already start the process of discussions. So there's all that. So that's interesting. It's now official. We suspected, Rob, that Apple and Amazon would both get in the running for this, but now it's official. They're in the running for it. But man, Paramount really wants Warner Brothers. As a matter of fact, I will say this. I had an insider tell me last week, this is the phrase they used, okay? Ellison is hell-bent on getting Warner Brothers. I will not say who told me that. Just believe me when I tell you it's somebody closely positioned. Ellison is hell-bent on getting Warner Brothers. This isn't just kicking the tires, which we already kind of knew because of the fact they made three offers. Hell-bent on getting it. How hell-bent? This hell-bent. According to the Wrap, Paramount's up the ante. Not only do they want to get Warner Brothers and merge it in with Paramount, he's even saying, Ellison, who is the chair and the CEO of Skydance Paramount, he's saying, hey, David Zaslav, I will make you my co-CEO and my co-chairman. You will be my partner. Like James Gunn and Peter Safran, you will be the head, along with me. David Zaslav, you will be the head of the entire company. The Paramount Warner Brothers merger, you're going to be the co-CEO of the whole damn thing. Now, I think that's a very interesting way to up the ante. That is a very interesting way to up the ante. And some people might then ask, and I get this. Now, for those of you who watched my open mic last night, you've heard me say this already, but for everybody who wasn't there for open mic last night, it would be fair for you to ask, wait a minute now. Why is Apple and Amazon and Netflix and Paramount and Universal and Comcast, why do they all want Warner Brothers? Haven't we heard before that this was a company that was in bad shape? And forgive me if I'm wrong, but why, some people might be asking, why would the Ellisons say, hey, David Zaslav, come and be the guy to run this whole thing. Be my partner, be my co-CEO, my co-chairman of the board, and we'll run this thing together. Why would they do that? I'm going to tell you why. A little bit of context here. I have been the lone voice in the desert wilderness for the last couple of years, telling y'all everything other than renaming HBO Max just to Max and taking out the HBO name, which they later had a reverse course on. That was stupid. No argument from me. But I've been the one guy who's been saying for years, every little thing that Zaslav has done has gone, that's going to be unpopular, but it's the right move. Ooh, he just did this. That's going to be unpopular, but it's brilliant. ooh, he did this thing. Everybody's going to hate that, but it's the right thing. And while everybody's been telling me, oh, no, David Zaslav doesn't know what he's doing. The axe is Zaslav. I've been saying, you'll see. You'll see. Well, there's no better way to make people see things than with cold, hard numbers. You want some cold, hard numbers? Let's jump over to the Campea classroom here for a second, shall we? Let's talk about the remarkable turnaround of Warner Brothers. This comes to us from Fortune Magazine and Yahoo Finance. Going back, AT&T, we got to set the stage here. Everybody needs to remember this. AT&T acquired Warner Brothers in 2016, not that long ago. Because remember, Warner Brothers used to be under the ownership of AT&T. AT&T got Warner Brothers in 2016 for a combined deal valued at $108 billion. And I've told you guys for a long time, they ran that into the ground. They practically killed the company. Want to see the numbers? Here it is. In 2021, just 5 years later, they announced their divestiture of the company. That means selling off the company. Their divestiture of the company in a deal with Discovery with a reported value of $43 billion.
Oops.
In 5 years. You want to know how badly AT&T damaged that company? In 5 years, that company from 2016 to 2021 went from a total combined value sale of $108 billion to 43. Guys, they didn't lose $10. They didn't lose $1 million. They didn't lose $1 billion. They lost $65 billion.
So close.
If you want to talk about a death, now the reason I'm setting this stage is you have to understand the context and the condition of the company when David Zaslav took it over. Okay. So in 5 years under AT&T, the company lost $65 billion in value. It went straight to hell. They did the whole thing. It was, hey guys, let's just release all of our movies on streaming. And it pissed off all their creative partners. It pissed off their fellow studios. Legendary Studios sued them over it. Christopher Nolan said, F you, I'm out. And Christopher Nolan left the studio over it. That's how badly they killed this thing. That's how badly it was. So people have heard me say that when David Zaslav and Discovery took over Warner Brothers was a dying patient on a table, bleeding out from every orifice with 72 stab wounds and 19 bullet shot wounds, and there was no way this thing was going to survive. That's the company that David Zaslav took over. Okay? Now, you want to know why all these companies are lining up and making offers? You want to know why David Ellison is making the offer to David Zaslav? Hey, sell it to us and you will be the co-head of this entire operation. Why would he do that? Here's why. Analysts at the Bank of America now estimate that Warner Brothers Discovery could be sold at approximately a US value of $30 per share, making the enterprise value roughly $74 billion or higher. Any acquirer would also likely need to assume the debt of the company, being $35 billion of debt, so that the enterprise value could be materially higher. Again, this comes from us from Fast Company and Yahoo Finance. So whereas AT&T had it at 103 and drove the value down to 43 billion, David Zaslav comes in, resuscitates the dying patient, does his magic triage, takes the axe of Zaslav and cuts off the gangrene infection, and he brings Warner Brothers back to life. And whereas AT&T went from a value of 108 billion down to 43 billion, according to the Bank of America estimates, they're saying this thing's going to sell for around 75 billion or more, which represents a 60% increase in value from when he took it over.
And wiping out the debt.
And getting the debt assumed. The kiddies call that a mic drop. for everybody who was like, boo-hoo, David Zaslav didn't release the Batgirl movie. You know who wins? David Zaslav wins. He wins. He saved the company. This thing was going to be dead within a year when it got sold. It was going to be dead within a year. And what did we have? We had a 2025 where the studio side, they just set the all-time Hollywood record for most consecutive movies released by a studio to open to over $40 million.
And New Line made $1.2 billion this year, and they're still cooking.
That's what they did. They revived the DC brand. They brought respect back to the Warner Brothers studio, which they had completely lost under AT&T and Jason Kilar. And now, let me put it in a sports terminology for you. You had a head coach take over a team that had 108 wins and then led them to just 43 wins. Yeah, that coach sucked. You get the next coach come in and take a 43-win team and bring it to a 75 or an 85-win team. That's coach of the year. That's coach of the year. It's the end of the argument, everybody. Everything David Zaslav did, which I have said for years, that he's going to save this company, he's going to bring it back. It comes down to this. A company that went from a value of 108 down to 43, and then he took it over and brought the value back up to 75 or 85 billion. Sorry, he wins. He just does. And if you're asking, well, why is David Ellison offering him the co-CEO? Because you want to bring on a guy who was able to take a studio that was dead on the table and raised its sale market value from 43 billion back up to $75 billion. You want that guy. You want the guy who was heading up a studio who all the creatives in Hollywood ditched on.
You want me on that wall.
You need
me on that wall.
You know, you want the guy who revived respect for the studio again after all the creatives ditched it because of what they did under Jason Kilar and now have like record-setting thing. You want that guy to be your co-head of everything. Now, whether or not it'll happen or not, we'll see. I still kind of prefer that Apple takes it over. But David Zaslav is on a victory lap right now. Winning is always the ultimate justifier, and he wins. Anyway, Rob, a lot of stuff here. Apple and Amazon have now officially put in their names that they're in the race for this thing. The Ellisons and Paramount are offering David Zaslav the co-chairman role and co-CEO, not just of a Warner Brothers division, but of the entire Paramount umbrella company. You're seeing these dollar values being thrown around by Yahoo Finance and Fortune magazine. I don't know. Guys, we want to take a second to thank the sponsor of today's video, Zapier. You know, one of the biggest game changers of the past year has been AI. But let's be real, just talking about AI doesn't actually make your day any more productive. What does make it more productive is finding tools to put AI to work for you. And that's where Zapier comes in. Zapier is the easiest way to take AI and plug it directly into the apps and processes that you're already using every day. No IT bottlenecks, no complexity, just results. For me, it's been about saving time on repetitive stuff so I can focus on the work that matters and I actually enjoy. And it's not just me. Over 3.4 million companies are already using Zapier to streamline everything from sales and marketing to IT and HR. With their AI orchestration platform, you can connect top AI models like ChatGPT or Claude right into the apps you already use. So whether it's automatically enriching leads, coaching your sales team, or even resolving IT tickets, Zapier makes it simple. Guys, join the 3.4 million companies already automating with Zapier and transform how you work with Zapier and AI. Get started for free by visiting zapier.com/Campea. That's zapier.com/Campea. What are the things you're taking away from here?
Well, okay. Before I say this, look, I want to see Warner Brothers remain autonomous. I want it to remain its own
That's
thing.
all of our first choice.
Oh yeah, we all
100%.
want that. Here's the thing. When AT&T bought Warner Brothers, they were interested because AT&T controlled the means of the pipeline that you send all this stuff throughout the world. And then they thought, oh, well, we're going to make our own stuff. And the problem was they didn't know anything about the business, so they brought all these people in that were incompetent, basically, to make movies. David Ellison has shown being at Skydance. He's got the better part of 2 decades in Hollywood. He's very well liked. Larry Ellison's one of the richest men in the world. He doesn't need
Oracle's valued at like $800 billion.
Yeah, he's not coming in to like he's not somebody from Wall Street because it's wreckable. he wants to leave a legacy. And I believe Larry Ellison's in his 90s. He's like one of the best looking 90-year-olds ever, I think. I'm not sure. I think he is.
Yeah, I hope I look that good.
And I know that guy's like, he's lived life well. So I think they're really trying to build something. Their interest is in they want to keep, David Ellison wants to make great movies and great entertainment. That's what he wants to do. And I think if they acquire the company, if that's going to happen, at least you have people that are not interested in just inflating its value and selling it. I don't think.
Oh, he's 81.
Oh, he's in only
Still
81,
looks great for 81.
90s. Still looks great as it. Okay. I don't know why I thought he was in his 90s.
I do not accept, I don't care what cosmetic surgery does. I do not accept that that's an 81-year-old man. Jeez. Anyway.
But still, I think that the two of them really do want to create as opposed to just taking a company, parting it out, and destroying it. I mean, Warner Brothers is worth, it's not everything should be about making money. We still need a culture. We still need a reason why we live in this world. And the thing is, having something like Warner Brothers around, what has Warner Brothers' core business been? Making entertainment to make people happy, to make our lives better, our lives of quiet desperation that with AI are soon becoming more and more desperate by the day. It's nice to still have people and companies that want to create, dare I say it, magic. And as long as that's their intent, hey, if it has to happen. I mean, David Zaslav, we made fun of him. We talked about the acts of Zaslav, but like you pointed out, he's done some good things. He's come in and he clearly enjoys what he's doing. So, I mean, I think that at least these people don't want to just destroy the company if it has to happen. And clearly making that offer to David Zaslav, that's not the thing is, David Zaslav can go be Joe, captain of industry. David Ellison wants to make movies. And I think Zaslav wants to, hey, we'll make movies and he'll be the cheerleader, but he also goes and does different things. He doesn't want to sit on set all day long and watch movies get made, eat crafty for the next 3 months.
I don't know, man. I was there at CinemaCon when he came out on stage, David Zaslav did, and gave this really impassioned speech about the love of movies and film. And you just know he loves like all that stuff. Now, look, I agree with everything you're saying, 100%. I think we all agree that our number one preference is that just Warner Brothers not be sold.
Right.
And there are upsides to it, to Paramount getting it. I still think my number one choice is not Paramount, though, because Paramount's just going to absorb Warner Brothers. I think HBO will still remain HBO, but I think they're just going to absorb Warner Brothers. And that's why I think my preference would be something like an Apple, because Apple would function with it like Disney functions with their sub studios, that Warner Brothers will still remain a studio. It will still function as a studio. It'll just be under the ownership of Apple. Whereas if it goes to something like Paramount, it's just going to get absorbed. And again, it's not the worst thing in the world, but I would really, really prefer, if it's going to be sold, and I think at this point, Rob, it's a foregone conclusion it's going to get sold. I would really prefer to see go to something like Apple that will probably keep it as an autonomous studio and let it run. But I don't know.
That's the thing. What people don't understand outside of Los Angeles is both Paramount and Warner Brothers have huge backlots. It's a real estate development deal as much as it is a studio deal that they're getting here. And I would hate to see, I love both backlots. I understand this is a silly thing to say. I've worked on both backlots. My first ongoing job in the industry was at Warner Brothers. I was a Star Trek consultant at Paramount, and I loved working on those lots. I would hate to see those backlots destroyed. Sony's got their lot across town. Disney still has its lot. But Paramount and Warner Brothers are both places. You want LA's film business to open up again? Those are the primo production hubs, Paramount and Warner Brothers. And I would like to see them open for business and both of them just smoking away, making all kinds of new movies and television here in LA on those lots. I'd like to see that happen.
And, we talked about yesterday too, that California just implemented some new incentives to keep production here. Things like Heat 2 is now going to shoot here. The new Jumanji is going to shoot here. So maybe stuff like that can all work towards that. Anyway, guys, question is for you. What do you think about this? Apparently now it's a feeding frenzy. Every single company, again, we haven't heard about Disney. I think Disney is still trying to get its legs back under it from the huge acquisition of 20th Century. I don't think they're going to be a player in this, but other than them, Every major player is now getting in line to take a shot at Warner Brothers, and it sounds like Paramount is trying to sweeten the deal a little bit. Whatever you guys make of all this, jump down to the comments section below and let us know your thoughts. Hey guys, thanks so much for watching this video. Make sure you like the video, leave a comment, and subscribe to our channel. And don't forget, we have a daily podcast called the John Campea Show podcast, available on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or your favorite podcasting app of choice. Go and subscribe to it today so it'll be there when you need it.